People, Dead Wolf back with another one. This time we're going to bring you top 10 secret military experiments they don't want you to know about. So, without further ado, let's get back in this motherfucker. Quit saying further ado, you idiot.
Conducting a number of top secret experiments that they don't want us to know about. From unethical tests on citizens to making super soldiers. Let's talk about this and more only in today's video. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan. And before we begin, why don't you smash that like button and comment something down below, because if you don't know, I read your comments, sometimes I reply back to them, and obviously subscribe to our channel. Now, we'll continue on with the video. Starting off this countdown, we have Operation Sea Spray. On September 20th, 1950, a U.S. Navy ship off of the coast of San Francisco used a giant hose to spray a cloud of microorganisms into the air. This was part of the military's test to see how a biological weapon attack would affect the 800,000 people that lived there. It was called Operation Sea Spray. They continued these tests for 7 days without any citizen knowing what they were doing. It was said that this was one of the first large-scale biological weapon trials. In the end, it was believed that the residents all inhaled at least 5,000 of the particles. This attack was responsible for at least one death, but it was thought to cause a series of infections and may have been responsible for a series of heart valve infections. It wasn't until the 1970s did the citizens realize that they were literally the military's guinea pigs. Moving on at number 9, we have the biological weapons attack. This is another biological weapons attack test that was done without citizens even knowing. Basically, a bunch of low-flying planes would fly down through the Midwest, spraying bacteria and chemical powders all across the land. This time, you could see what they were spraying. So the military lied and was like, oh, we're just testing a way to mask the whole city in order to protect it, you know, in case of an attack. Lies. Now, one of the chemicals that they used was zinc cadmium sulfide. It is highly toxic and can cause cancer. Thankfully, they found that it, and I quote, did not expose residents of the United States and Canada to chemical levels considered harmful. But in 2012, sociology professor Lisa Martino-Taylor claimed that there was a spike in cancer rates that could be connected back to the chemicals, which she alleges were radioactive. That's insane.
Of course they were. The military's fucking lied about shit for years.
We have Project
They always fucking lie.
Apparently, between 1972 to 1995, the Pentagon spent $20 million using psychics to try and spy on their enemies and see what they were up to. So they enlisted the help of men and women who claimed to have ESP powers. They would help to find hostages or would trace the path of criminals on the run. They literally thought that they were onto something here. But in the end, people thought it was stupid and the project was seized, wasting millions of dollars. In our 7th spot today, we have the Inner Armor. Ever wanted to become a real-life superhero with cool powers? Well, the government thought that they could actually make this happen. They called it Project Inner Armor. They wanted to find a way to give humans superhuman abilities, like to dive down deep without any equipment, or to survive after being shot. Dr. Michael Callahan headed the project, said, and I quote, the goal is to make soldiers kill-proof against all sorts of conditions, including infectious diseases, chemical, biological, and radioactive weapons, temperature and altitude extremes, and harsh natural environments. That's insane. They're literally trying to create mutant soldiers. In our 6th spot, we have the Norfolk Naval Supply Center experiment. In 1951, the military decided to execute some tests at the Norfolk Naval Supply Center in Virginia. This is a massive base that equips the U.S. Navy. So what they did was fill crates with fungal spores to see how they would affect the workers unpacking the crates. For those of you who don't know, fungal spores can cause a number of diseases, including toxic pneumatitis, hypersensitivity, pneumatitis, tremors, kidney failure, and cancer. Not only that, but people argue that the attack was racially motivated.
Of course it was.
The center were primarily African American. So the Army intentionally exposed, and I quote, a disproportionate number of black people to the organism. Again, this was done without the workers even knowing. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the whooping cough experiment. In 1955,
that does not fucking surprise me at all.
With Coinbase Earn, we've paid out over military released whooping cough into the air in Florida. State records show that in 1955, the amount of whooping cough cases greatly increased. It went from 339 and 1 death in 1954 to 1,080 cases with 12 deaths in 1955. How in 1 year does it spike that much? Well, you can thank the military's experiments for that. I mean, what was the purpose of this experiment anyway? To see if people would catch a highly contagious respiratory disease that was spread throughout the city? No, duh, they would. In our fourth spot, we have the 24/7 warrior. Over the years, the military has been working on creating a drug that will keep soldiers up 24/7. Because being sleep deprived as a soldier could end badly for them. Plus, more can be accomplished when you don't have to sleep. Most recently, the military has tested the drug modafinil on soldiers. Apparently, while on this drug, soldiers were able to stay awake for 40 hours straight without any side effects. But they are still conducting other experiments too, like transcranial magnetic stimulation. Basically, it zaps the brain to keep you awake. Doesn't sound that pleasant. They are literally trying to turn soldiers into brainless kill-proof
This is how fucked up our military
is.
is.
Scary. Moving on to number 3, we had the New York City subway experiment. Honestly, the number of tests done on unsuspecting citizens scare me. What if they're conducting one right now?
They've been conducting experiments on us. They're doing it now anyway.
A study of the vulnerability of subway passengers in New York City to covert attack with biological agents. It's a long name. Why did they just call it Project NYC Subway or something like that? Anyways, this study consisted of breaking light bulbs full of bacteria on the subway tracks to see how they would spread throughout the city. Apparently, clouds would engulf people as trains left the station, and people would just brush off their clothing and continue on their day as if nothing happened. They also found that the trains would spread the bacteria throughout the city. One light bulb full of bacteria broke at 14th Street, spread easily to at least 58th Street, which is insane. Now, the bacteria they decided to use for these experiments was B. globigii, which is a pathogen often the cause of food poisoning. Infections from it are rarely fatal, but they can be. Either way, using innocent citizens as test subjects without their knowledge is very problematic and unethical. In our second spot, we have the Edgewood Arsenal drug experiments. Beginning in the
First of all, let me go ahead and say this. I gotta be careful how I fucking say this. Fuck Joe Biden, how about that? Anyway, our military has always conducted experiments on us all the fucking time since militaries were started. Basically, since 1900. Also, it's hard to fucking grasp, people. Anyway, the point is, this is fucked up.
1950s, the Army decided to run some tests on psychoactive drugs and other chemical agents. Their guinea pigs? Soldiers. About 7,000 soldiers took place in these experiments, and they were exposed to about 250
Oh, they didn't volunteer.
chemicals.
They were
Some
told
of the
to do
chemicals
it.
that were tested on them were sarin gas, LCD, PCP, cannabinoids, irritants, and riot control agents, among lots of others. The effects of these chemicals...
Hold on, cannabinoids? Why the fuck didn't you make cannabis legal then, you fucktards? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Fucking stupid government. Our government is fucking stupid. The only reason why marijuana is still illegal is because of prohibition. Fuck the government. You fucking pieces of shit.
And drugs had on the soldiers were studied and noted. Finally, in 1975, the tests were canceled after being deemed controversial. In the end, most of the test subjects suffered from psychological trauma and serious health problems.
But not because of
And in our
cannabinoids,
today,
because
we
of all
have
the other shit.
Plutonium experiment. Towards the end of World War II, the U.S. was
Obviously.
racing to build its first atomic bombs. But as they were doing so, they wanted to know about the hazards of plutonium. So they decided to start injecting
I can tell you about
plutonium
those hazards.
into individuals to see what would happen. The first test was on April 10th, 1945. They injected plutonium into the victim of a car accident in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. They were trying to see how quickly the human body would get rid of the radioactive substance. From there, 400 other experiments took place on humans. They were, of course, performed illegal without the test subject's knowledge or consent. They were mainly performed on the sick, those with mental illnesses, disabilities, prisoners, or the poor. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let's move quickly along to our comment shoutout.
And I bet you those poor ones were also black. Just like when the government introduced crack into the poor black neighborhoods. And then it spread to all the other neighborhoods. So yeah. I mean, the Manhattan Project, Project Bluebird, I mean, Agent Orange, yeah, that's why they made Captain America, because of the whole super soldier experiment that the military did. So yeah, obviously that was based on some sort of truth. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, say fuck Joe Biden, and let's see if this video actually ends up getting posted. Peace out, motherfuckers.